Greetings, YouTube. Frequently when I am either myself discussing rape culture and patriarchy and things like that, or I am engaged in watching and interacting with other people's videos here on YouTube on these topics, I encounter a certain mindset. And the mindset is prove it. That the misogynists and MRA members always want women to prove that they actually have been raped. Because in their minds, false accusations of rape are the most important things in the world, even though it runs around 2% of crimes. The same percentage as every other crime that is reported falsely. But in the minds of these individuals, it is hugely bigger than that. I've even had people tell me it was 60%. And it's all about women regretting having sex. So that's why they do it. Of course, they never tackle the fact that society has created a dynamic where women that don't regret having sex, and are empowered in their sexuality are viewed as sluts. But that's a different topic. They never also ask this about men. When men step forward and make the claim that they've been raped, no one ever questions that. There's never a prove it stance. Because apparently a man's word on this topic is taken without question. If a man says something like that, obviously he was raped. No man would admit that if it wasn't true. But if a woman admits it, well, now, let's back up. Let's back up. We got to look at this clinically. So, extrapolating this philosophy of prove it, let's say that we apply that to all crimes. That if someone reports a crime, they are automatically guilty of having filed a false police report. Automatically. And they must now prove that they have not filed a false police report. They must prove the crime that they are reporting actually happened. So I guess if my house was robbed, and my house has been robbed, I could say my house is robbed, this is the window, it's opened. But then the police officer go, well, I have no way of knowing if that window was opened by you or by someone else. Well, here, right here, this spot right here, this empty spot, this is where I had some money, and now the money's gone. Well, I got no way of knowing that. It could be in your pocket. In fact, maybe I should frisk you. And even if I could prove that I wasn't home at the time of the crime, there's no way for me to prove that I didn't hire a second party. Even if the person who is found to have done it and I have never encountered, I still couldn't prove that I didn't hire a third party to hire the criminal, so I would absolve myself of knowledge. Do you see where I'm going with this? The goalpost will always move. Always move. There will never be a way for me to prove that a crime has happened. And in the case of rape, the only way that these misogynists and MRA members are going to be convinced that a rape actually happened to a woman is if it was filmed. And even then they're going to question, well, I just see she's not moving. Maybe she was just, relaxed. Okay, she's fighting and screaming, but maybe there was consent involved. Maybe this is some elaborate game they're playing with each other. Okay. It does actually have audio, and I can tell that she's actually not into this thing. Okay, maybe this is a case of rape. Do you see this? This is what they do to women every time they report a case of rape. Prove it. Prove that one of the most horrific things that could conceivably happen to you in your life, short of murder, prove that this actually happened before we will take you seriously. And if the person doesn't report it the second it happened, well, obviously, that's just a situation of regret. It doesn't matter if that the event could have traumatized the person. I am a survivor of sexual abuse as a child. I did not address this as an adult until I was in my 30s. I didn't address the fact that one of the people that abused me was a woman until I was in my 40s. When I finally realized, hey, you know something? That person was a pedophile. I was 14, incapable of granting consent. Legally, morally, ethically. It took me decades to come to grips with what had happened. But these folks out there would probably believe me when I say it happened, because I'm a guy. But a woman who did the same thing, well, why did you wait this long? You just must be concocting a story. Maybe you just want money from that person you're accusing. Are you going to sue them? Now, all of this being inspired here by the Bill Cosby case. 35 women, the last I knew, had come forward against him. 35 women. How many women have to speak up till we believe them? You're going to tell me all of them are falsely accusing this guy? Is that what you're telling me? That they haven't just been trying to find a way of getting someone to listen. In some cases, for 30 years, one woman has been getting someone trying to get people to listen to her, and no one will because it's Bill Cosby. No one will believe that of Bill Cosby. But rapists don't have fangs and horns and tails with little points at the end. They don't carry pitchforks, and flames don't circle their heads. They look like ordinary, everyday people. Child abusers don't have a aura about them. They just look like good people. They're men and they're women. They're straight and they're gay. They're pleasant. They're unpleasant. They're social. They're antisocial. They're us. And they aren't looking like monsters, even though their acts are monstrous. And not all rapists look like rapists. Sometimes there's ordinary people, and sometimes there's people with a lot of power and authority, with a lot of weight to throw around, with the ability to dismiss dozens of women's accusations over the course of decades because of the social capital they have built up over their lives. The whole prove it concept sickens me. Now, I actually had someone engage me in a conversation once about this. Back and forth. I must have been over a dozen exchanges in this one thing. Until he, and it was a guy, we had declared that he was actually male, that he said, okay, I was raped last night. Do you believe me? Which is when I ended the conversation. Because such an incredibly tone-deaf comment was meaningless. There's nothing I could say to that. If it was true, he had my sympathy, empathy, and compassion. And if it wasn't, and I believe it wasn't, because of the tone of the conversation and the context we were having, how do you reply to that? What do you do? But I didn't ask him to prove it.